10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
What's going on, people? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Thursday to you. Welcome to the Pro Fan Talk. My name is Marcus Thomas, and as usual, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. Appreciate all the people in the chat already. Sean Young, as usual, number one out the limo. I appreciate you. Mike, what's going on, coach? I see you. What's going on, Mike? Good to see you, brother. Number two out the limo. Thank you for joining me. Hope y'all like my new graphics. Intro graphics, something new I'm messing around with. Most people don't know that I do a lot of graphic design and stuff like that. That's kind of like my hobby. That's what I nerd out on, graphic design, 3D animation. I used to game a lot, but not as much as I used to. I was a big Destiny player. Had to dial that back up because I had to dial it back because it just didn't have enough time, man. Only 24 hours in a day. So, but I appreciate you guys joining me. A lot of stuff going on. The NFL is a gift that keeps on giving. The NBA is a gift that keeps on giving. Major League Baseball, I don't know about that one. Phillies looking all that firepower, and we keep shooting off duds. So, but I think eventually they'll get it together. But a lot of good stuff. First thing that was happening was everybody got the news about Nick Nurse. So, there we go. There he is. So, I hate this. There we go. Nick Nurse. Sixers got themselves a new coach. So that's what's up. He was number 3 on my list. He was number 3. Facebook user, what's up? I can't see who you are, but what's up anyways? You must know me if you're saying what's up. Mike, you don't like the signing? What's up, Anthony? I appreciate you. Mike, explain. How come you don't like Nick Nurse? Oh, you said you do like the signing. Okay, my mistake. Putting too many words. Nick Nurse was number 3 on my list, man. My preference would have been Mark Jackson. But I don't even think he's trying to come back and coach. I haven't heard really too much about him. And then it was Monty Williams. But, Monty Williams went to Detroit and got paid. Woo! Monty Williams got the bag. I am not mad at him, not even a little bit. That joker got paid. So, if that was in the works right around the same time Philly was talking, I get it. I understand. You take that bag and you run with it. So, but I had Monty Williams and Nick Nurse as 2 and 2A. Like I said, if you follow some of my posts, man, Nick Nurse won a championship in Toronto. Let that sink in for a minute. Nick Nurse won a championship in Toronto. To me, in my opinion, that is very akin to LeBron winning in Cleveland. As great as LeBron was, he was in Cleveland. Like, a lot of people just want to let that slip away. Mike, I didn't want to see Cassell leave either. Cassell was my number 4 pick. Excuse me, my number 4 choice. But you gotta. I think we picked the right guy. If it wasn't after Monty Williams was gone, if it wasn't Nick Nurse, then my choice would have been Sam Cassell for sure. I wanted anybody but Mike D'Antoni. I just did not want that whole Houston connection, because when you look at that Houston connection, James Harden is not going to be what he was in Houston. He has spurts. He peaks up and has a 40 burger, then, in the 30s, then he's back down in the 20s, like normally where he should be at this point in his career. He can't keep that type of consistency, scoring in the low to mid 30s, and every now and then throwing up jumping up into 40 points. He can't do that on a consistent basis. So, and then I don't know if it was me or maybe it was just watching the playoffs. We looked out of control in a lot of situations. Like, didn't nobody know what to do with the ball? You didn't know who to dish it off to. And me as a, as an old school basketball fan, somebody who came up watching Magic and Bird and that era of basketball, when you drove the lane, they would knock your teeth out. I grew up watching the Bad Boys of Detroit, and when Jordan came into his prominence with the Bulls, I watched all of that, so I know what hard fouls are like, hard basketball. Back then, basketball was still a physical sport. It doesn't seem like that anymore. Everybody's flopping. Everybody's shooting from 8 million miles in the stands to hit those threes. So we'll see what happens. Sean, I saw that. I read that today. Hey, Mom, I see you in there. Fred VanVleet made a mention of, I hope so. Whoever they get for Harden, here's my thing. It doesn't matter whether or not you want to keep Harden or not. I'd say they see what they can get for him and let him walk. As long as we get Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, we're good. But I will say this. It ain't like James Harden is just a scrub all of a sudden. Nah. That if you're going to get rid of him or trade him or whatever the situation and contractual obligations met and whatever they got to do, whoever they bring in, you got to at least bring in that production. Tobias Harris is still too inconsistent for me, but can Nick Nurse bring something out of Tobias Harris that maybe Doc Rivers couldn't? Doc Rivers is a good coach. Don't get it twisted. Doc Rivers is a good coach. So he couldn't, squeeze the rest of that blood out of that rock and take us to the next level. But let's be honest. If we would have got past Boston the way the Heat played, do you think we would have got past Miami? I don't think we would have. Not because of how we played, but I believe we would have lost the chess match with Spoelstra and Doc Rivers. Harden is too inconsistent, and Embiid is too inconsistent when it comes to being dominant. Embiid and the Sixers, for that matter, look at what happened to Boston down the stretch. They got beat early, down 3-0. Then they come back, force a game 7. And what happens in that game 7? They couldn't hit a mirror in the bathroom. When you have a team like that and the shots are not falling, what else are you going to do? That was my frustrating thing about the Sixers. Shots weren't falling and they want to keep shooting. No, if your shots aren't falling, if you're shooting 20 and 30% as a team and it's just not, they just not going in, and B, get your behind down on the blocks and you get that ball to him down low and he'll either get to the free throw line or he's dunking on everybody that's breathing. That's my philosophy. You let Tyrese Maxey do what he can do mid-range because he's not a great three-point shooter yet. He can shoot them. Everybody can shoot threes. But let him do what he can do mid-range. PJ Tucker would do what he did, but he was even inconsistent. That's great that you got a old wily vet that can, speak some things into your ear and motivate you. That's what Jimmy Butler did, except Jimmy Butler was a much better player than PJ Tucker. And it showed. And when you need that type of production on the floor, that's what we were lacking. Maxey's not quite there yet. He hasn't reached his prime yet. Embiid is in his prime. Harden is past his prime. So I don't know what they're gonna do. As long as they keep Maxey and Embiid, I wouldn't even be sad if they kept Tobias Harris. Maybe they can get Niang out of here. I don't know. They got some decisions to make. So, but let's see who's in the chat. I see my mom in there. Mike, Sean was number one. Anthony, who else we got? And a couple people on Facebook. I appreciate you. And as usual, my first 5 out the limo is from Fan Up. Fan Up is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports, daily NBA, MLB contests, and more. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points. A $50 value. FanUp.app. Check it out if you like to bet. And everybody in their mama's bet. So I'm glad I haven't caught that bug. But if you like playing parlays and all of that kind of stuff that I don't understand, FanUp is a place to be. But in any case, so the Sixers I've gotten rolling. We got the new coach. I didn't even see the press conference yet. I know he had it, but I haven't even watched it yet. So very interested to see what Daryl Morey is going to do with the offseason and what pieces he's going to put together and what are they going to do with Harden, because Harden is the big X factor. He's the big question mark. Yes, he can still play. In my opinion, he just can't play at a high level consistently. And that's what we need. If we're going to go from 40 to 20 or less than in the teens or in the single digits and with 6 and 7 turnovers, bring him off the bench. Save his legs. Whatever you got to do. Joel Embiid, in my opinion, Joel Embiid's got 2 more years of prime basketball. 2. The way he goes about it. If Joel Embiid doesn't start getting his behind in the weight room, seriously, he's got 2 years of prime left in him. And then he'll already be on the decline. So I don't know what these guys do in their offseason. But he's got to get better. Every time he starts peaking, as much as he flops and finds himself on the floor, like I hate that. Like, dude, you should just be mossing everybody. Everybody. But again, that's an old school way of thinking, because ever since Dirk Nowitzki came into the league, that's what a big man was. Dirk Nowitzki was a big man's fantasy. So I hope that Joel Embiid works on his handles a little bit more, because every time he gets down low in the paint, he thinks he can dribble around everybody. And it's like, dude, that's not your game. Get the ball, put it on the floor, maybe one time, and then dunk on somebody. Or, not for nothing, get you a sky hook. That's the one shot that was created in the NBA that nobody can stop. Nobody can stop a sky hook. Kareem gave you the answers to the test. Dude, you 7-footer. Nobody can stop that shot. The only way they can stop that shot is if they take you off your base going across the middle and they basically pummel you. But then you find yourself on the free throw line. So if he can develop a shot like that, I can. That's great when he makes all of the 3-pointers. And that's great that he's a big man that can shoot from that range. But he's missing more than he's making from way out there. Get your butt mid-range in the inside. Get you a sky hook, a little fade away from around 10 to 15 feet. That's unstoppable. That's what we need. That's what we need. So I don't know what they're going to do. But they got to get some answers for what Embiid is going to do, and they got to get answers for what they are going to do with James Harden. If they let him walk, get some production back on the team. You got to get something for something. You got to get something for something. So we'll see what they're going to do. We'll see what they're going to do. I'm very interested to see what Nick Nurse is going to do. Like I said, I'm very interested in watching his press conference. I don't really have a sense of his personality yet. I know he has ties to Philly, but he's familiar with the landscape, so I'm excited to see what he can do. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. And the next news up today, did you guys see what happened? Shannon Sharp is walking. Had enough of Skip Bayless. And this is funny to me, and it's interesting because it's me being a former pro athlete. I'm in the same space. No, I'm not a Hall of Famer. I'm an EKU Hall of Famer, so but you understand what I'm saying. Shannon Sharp is huge, right? For people got to remember the stuff that he had to overcome with his speech impediment and all of that kind of stuff, because they used to kill him with the jokes because he couldn't talk. And he's so much better now because he has something to say. Sometimes he gets a little bit, I call it the media head. He wants to say stuff to generate attention and clicks and different things like that. But for the most part, Shannon Sharp usually has something good to say, something impactful, something intelligent. So I like what he did, where he came from, and what he has become. And I think that DeMar Hamlin situation kind of put the dynamite in the side of the wall. And then when Skip Bayless was talking about Tom Brady and really didn't give Shannon the respect that he deserved being a Hall of Fame player, I think that's when everything went to hell in the handbasket. And Shannon was just like, I don't need him. Or just got sick of dealing with him. So I don't know. James, I saw that. Kwame Brown. But Kwame Brown is in the same boat. Because I watched some of Kwame Brown stuff. Kwame Brown is not interested in being polishing his thing up. Because listen, Kwame Brown got a lot of good knowledge to drop too. He's just trying to stay, trying to keep it grounded, trying to keep it real, so to speak. Because I like Kwame Brown, but sometimes he says stuff and he is very, in my opinion, Kwame Brown is still very bitter based on what everybody was saying about him when he played, saying he was a bust and all that kind of stuff. He still got that chip on his shoulder. And it's very easy to tell when you hear some of the things he says about basketball and particular people. But again, he's smart and he's got some impactful thing to say. He has a funny way of bringing it out sometimes. Anthony, I like Shannon Sharp, bro. And he's not afraid to mix it up with you. So Shannon Sharp is another one now. He's polarizing. There's a lot of people that love him and a lot of people that hate him, but at the end of the day, you're gonna watch. That's what it comes down to. And the big reason why Shannon can leave, Shannon's his club Shay Shay. He just hit 1 million followers. So the amount of money that he's getting paid from YouTube, and I know he's got some type of deal selling some type of alcohol, some type of dark drink or whatever. But the money he's probably making now without all of the headache that he has to deal with on Fox and ESPN and everything that comes with being a broadcast personality, he doesn't have to deal with that now. Now everybody, Joe Rogan basically wrote the template, right? Now you got Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is basically on the same level as Joe Rogan now. He's that dude. And everybody was giving him crap when he, now that his show is going to be on ESPN, he's doing the same stuff that he did in his house, in his basement, or whatever he built, a gym or something like that. And he got a crew of like 8-10 people. That's it. And he'll have somebody on a Zoom call, and that's what they do. That's the future of the stuff that we do, the stuff that I'm doing on YouTube. That's where it's going. Because I can read the same notes, I can study the same material. Now, you might have somebody a little bit more knowledgeable in certain things, because I don't care how how long you've been a commentator. And this is where a lot of these guys on TV get themselves in trouble. Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, guys like that. Where they get in trouble is they think that their time on the air can measure up to somebody that's actually played the game. And a lot of times it doesn't, because there are things that happen in the locker room that somebody on TV can never understand. Now, you may have seen it. You can talk to, I don't care how many times Stephen A. talks to Jordan or will have talked to Kobe and stuff like that. There are some things that Kobe would have known that Stephen A. Smith would never know, or take anybody off of TV. All of these media heads. So now you're seeing a lot. You see this the show with Acho and Shady McCoy and Joy Taylor. You got two players, and they're always having people that actually played the game. You go down the road, you look in DC, and Brian Mitchell, his show. Guys like that, you can't tell them nothing because they've seen everything. They've seen everything. I don't know if you guys caught it. Irv and Hollis Thomas, those guys. Irv was in the league for what, 16 years? They've seen a lot, and I don't care how long you've been on the air commentating. You can't match that experience. And a lot of these guys in front of the microphone and in front of the cameras, all of these guys that are coming off the field are taking those spots. Yep, James, Barkley is a prime example. Is a prime example. But you look at all of these guys that are starting a podcast now. And the reason why these podcasts are getting so popular is that we can talk about stuff now that they can't talk about on the air. That's the X factor you have going through StreamYard, or me getting with A2D radio. I can say things on A2D radio that I couldn't say if I was working on Fox, or if I was lucky enough to get with, one of the big wigs, Philadelphia Sports or something like that. So let me see. He acts like DeMar Hamlin almost died, but Hamlin is all right at practicing now. Yeah, but that's a slippery slope right there, Anthony. Because, and let me tell you, a lot of people have that same attitude. Players will always think differently, because you got to look at it from two different perspectives. You look at it, number one, you look at it from a perspective of, I see what just happened, and it scared the hell out of me. Also, I know I've had concussions, me personally, Marcus Thomas. I've had concussions where I had to take myself out of a game because I couldn't remember the plays. I'll never forget that. I believe it was my senior year in college at Eastern Kentucky. We play in Northeast Louisiana, and I went over the top to score a touchdown, and this big dude damn near knocked my block off. I left my feet. I scored the touchdown, left my feet, but basically he hit me high, and I windmilled into the end zone, and my head was ringing. Couldn't remember any of the plays, so I told Coach Kidd, I was like, "Yo, I can't. I'm not all here right now." But after that game, that next week, if you'd have told me I couldn't play, I'd have been pissed. I'm good. The cobwebs are gone. I'm good. Let's keep it moving, because that's the attitude we have. So even when you see something horrible like that, your next thing, just like DeMar Hamlin, I want to get back up and play. But rest assured, and don't get it twisted for a second, there's some people in his camp. There's some people outside of his camp. I'm sure there's some people in his family that are looking at him like, you might want to sit this one out. But when you got that desire and you at a situation where you're doing the thing that you've been trying to do and living your dream, that's real talk. And it's very difficult to walk away from. Very difficult to walk away. Why do you think guys that have to retire because of injury, they have such a hard time? Because they still have the desire to play. Physically, they could probably still play, if not for that trick knee or, the elbow, or you never know what the situation is going to give you. I'm lucky. I am very lucky. I had a cup of coffee in the league, 93, 94. Then I went to Canada. Then I went to World League. But I still played about 6-7 years of professional football. Never broke a bone. Never tore a ligament. Never tore a knee. Never popped the MCL, ACL. None of that. The worst thing I ever had was my 2 worst injuries were in college. If I hadn't gotten hurt in college, my records would still be there. I would still be the 1AA all-time leading rusher. Guarantee you. I missed 4 or 5 games my junior year in college. If I hadn't missed those games, I probably would have had well over 6,000 yards as a career on the ground. I was doing work like that. And I got one time I got a very bad shoulder bruise. And another time I had a high ankle sprain. As a running back, those are the worst to get. So I was lucky in that regard that I never tore anything. Nothing extremely bad. James, I'm with you. Tua, the situation with Tua, taking martial arts classes and all of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, when you get to that level, that's what you've been trying to do since you were 8, 9, 10 years old. And it is very difficult for somebody to just quit, to just walk away from it. Very difficult. So I understand Tua putting himself in the situation all right, let me figure out a way if I can negate some of this damage when I'm falling and taking judo classes. And it's funny because when he said he was taking judo and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, I understand what he's talking about. I studied Aikido. So the first thing they teach you when you study in martial arts is how to fall. That's the first thing they teach you. So I get it. So he's in a situation mentally where he's trying to prepare himself because he knows it's going to happen again. He already knows it. You look at somebody like Mr. Irrelevant out in San Francisco, Brock Purdy. What's going to happen to him last year? The everything that happened to him. Now he's got to make sure his elbow is right. And then when he rehabs, now he's got to worry about the mental aspect of it because the physical is going to heal up quick. The mental, that takes a little bit longer. See Robert Griffin III. When Brock Purdy comes out, the minute that pass rush comes and he pats that ball or hitches it and needs to release it and let it go, and if there are hands anywhere above his waist, close to his arms or elbows, that's going to do something to him mentally, and that's the hurdle he's got to get over. His elbow is going to heal. How fast? That's what people are going to find out. But what he's got to do is get over that mental hurdle of knowing that there are guys coming around him trying to strip the ball. And rest assured, people are coming and trying to do the same thing. So it is very likely that the same thing could happen again. But you got to get over that. Don't play scared. That's the fastest way to get hurt, playing scared. I mentioned RG3. Everybody in their mother knew RG3 came back too early. Everybody did. I don't know who he was listening to when he was going through all of that stuff, but he should have known you're not going to come back that quick. Not going to happen. Not going to do it. You can't do it. The way you play the game, and I never forget watching him, and I don't know if it was a Monday night game or whatever. Everybody was watching him because he was coming back. But the week before, it was 1 or 2 weeks before he came back, all the cameras were on him when he was working out before the game. And what did he do? He did a sprint in a straight line all the way down the field, and the place went bananas. Everybody went nuts when he did that. And I'm like, well, that's great, but you're not running in a straight line when you get the snap. That's all well and good that you can run from point A to point B in a straight line, but that's not how football is played. And sure enough, when he had to make a cut, nah. That knee was like, not right now. So you got to be ready for that. You got to be mentally ready for that. And you got to be in a situation where you can quiet the noise. Look at what's the defensive end for the Commanders? Chase Young. Chase Young, same situation. Why didn't Chase Young come back last year and started hearing the news? I was looking forward to seeing him because I want to see what the young fella can do. But he was good in practice and he was working well, and he was, all of these reports came out how good he looked in practice, but somebody was like, nah, just chill. We're not going to make it to the playoffs. What's the point? And that was a smart decision, as bad as he wants to play. The ego's involved because you're trying to rush it back because you were the top pick, and now they're paying you for being hurt. You try to rush yourself sometimes. And even now, somebody like RG3 is a little bit more cautious and using his tail as a cautionary story. Take your time. Take your time. Don't be in such a rush to get out, because if something happens to you, they will drop you like a bad habit, and you'll be in somebody else's booth or on somebody else's podcast talking about what you used to do. So, people got to take their time and get in where they fit in. But don't put yourself in harm's way trying to get out there too fast. You got to take your time. Now, the news that was burning up the airwaves was the Cardinals letting DeAndre Hopkins walk. And of course, Howie's phone goes ringing off the hook because everybody wants Howie to go after him. But you got to look at this from team perspective, strategic perspective. Strategically, would he fit? I think he would fit. He would be a great number 3 receiver. Optically, is Howie going to go after that? We got to bring another receiver in. He's coming in with gas in the tank. He still want to play, languishing in Houston and in Arizona. That's crazy. So he wants an opportunity to play. I heard the quotes, just like everybody else. He wants to play with somebody like Jalen Hurts and all that. That all sounds great, man. That all sounds great. But we'll see what's going to happen. But as far as the Eagles are concerned, we do need depth at wide receiver. If something happens to AJ, if something happens to Devontae, we saw what happened last year when Dallas Goedert went down. And I'm a fan of all of our tight ends. We got a tight end room for you. Our roster of tight ends with Dallas Goedert and Calcaterra and was it Jack Stoll and even the young kid, was it Tyree Jackson? Do we still even have him? I was surprised that kid couldn't get on the field because that kid is a beast and is fast A lot faster than people realize. But Dallas Goedert is going to be a superstar. So to have DeAndre Hopkins in our roster, he would be our number 3 right off the bat, day one. And he could slide inside to outside X and Z. If something happens to AJ's got to come out for a play, whatever. He's experienced enough and still very productive that can cause problems. I would love to see him over Quez Watkins at number 3. But just to have that depth. Oh, I didn't know that, Em. It's a good question, Don. Good question. I don't know what Budda Baker is gonna end up doing, but we are good for all of this. For all of these players that want to come here, because now we are a destination city, which is good to. It's good to be able to say that now. People are actually looking at us as a place to go. But I don't know what they're going to do with Budda Baker. A lot of people think that he would be a good fit here. I'm sitting here looking at some of my notes on my phone. But every time somebody becomes free, everybody wants Howie to work his magic. So we didn't get a little spoiled dealing with that. But that's okay. That's a good problem to have. That's a very good problem to have. So we'll see. And if we get Budda Baker, that means we got to sit down. We got to sit Reed Blankenship down. And I don't understand why everybody is on Reed Blankenship like that. Reed Blankenship. I'm a fan of Reed Blankenship. That's all I'm gonna say. Yo, but hold tight. Let me pay some bills real quick. I'm gonna be back in about 40 seconds. So hold tight.
Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit.
There we go. Weird. Oh, did it start again? Not sure what happened. Let's try it again.
Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site phillysportstrips.com. This is sure to be an epic season. Be sure to go there now to make sure that you don't get shut out. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Don't want to fly? No problem. Gather up your crew and hop aboard one of our signature boisterous bus trips to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trip customers always stay at the best hotels and meet NFL legends. Book today. Hey, Birds fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site Philly Sports.
All right. Not sure what happened. I know the commercial played, but I can't hear it. So I don't know. Technical difficulties. Don't know. Got to look into that. All right. There we go. Thank you, sis. Don. Would I stand pat with the current Eagles roster? No. I am happy with most of it. I don't think we need any more defensive backs. But if you're gonna get somebody like Budda Baker, so be it. I'm not mad at that. The only, in my opinion, question marks we have is what our linebackers are going to look like. Everything's Nakobe Dean, but who else we got that's going to fill some shoes and make some tackles. I know we got that dude from Chicago. I'm forgetting his name right now. But other than that, who are we looking at? Who are the backups at linebacker? Our defensive line is solid. Our offensive line is solid. Our running backs are solid. Quarterback, you know what the deal is. Very interesting. Who's our oh, that's right. Mariota's our backup now. So we got that settled. The secondary is tight. With the exception of linebackers, I'm good with the roster. Would I trade for Jonathan Simmons? Trade who? Who would we trade for Jonathan Simmons? Or just put a trade package together for him? I mean, we could. For picks? That's Howie's MO, though. That's Howie's that's what he's best at. So using the picks a little bit closer to draft time, that's what he's been the best at. So if he could fill and play and cover, go for it. If it don't cost us much. The cautionary tale is looking at the Rams. After they won the Super Bowl, they were in dire straits. They were in a bad way. And they are just to the point now where they are trying to get themselves out of it. So I like where we are right now. Obviously, yes, we're probably going to have to make some more moves because of injury or because people just don't pan out. But you know, you got to wait to see what's going to happen. So I'm good with what we have right now. The only thing that I really think we need, somebody's got to step up and be our punt returner. Somebody. Sean, I had not heard this rumor. And if it is a rumor, no thank you. In my opinion, you keep Goddard. Goddard is the superstar. The NFL just don't know it yet. So, no. Keep Goddard. We have a nucleus of people. To me, you don't get rid of. You know, obviously AJ and Devontae, Goddard, Bradbury, and Slay. And I'm very interested to see what the what's the kid that we got? Is it Edmonds? The kid we got from Pittsburgh? I'm interested to see what he's going to do because Pittsburgh, he was average at best in Pittsburgh. He didn't suck, but he wasn't. Here's how you know a player is an elite level player. Get my punctuations and stuff right. Vocabulary. If a player, offense and defense, it doesn't matter. If your opponent has to come in and game plan you, that lets you know you're an elite level player. When you got to worry about somebody on the field, they have to worry about AJ Brown every time somebody plays. They got to worry about Jalen Hurts every time he plays. So it just happens. So they have to get somebody there. When you play a certain team, who are you looking at? Who do you have to game plan on? And what are you going to do with them? What are you going to do to either slow him down or stop him? AJ Brown, he had a couple games where they slowed him up. His famous temper tantrum game. That's what they call it. That's what the media heads are calling it. And it wasn't like that. He just wanted the ball. So you go with what you got, I think. There's going to be some injuries once camp starts, and you can get a better look at what you have and what you need to do. So I'm good with the team as it sits right now, unless, to you guys' point, we can figure out a way to get Budda Baker and, like I'm not at this point. I'm like, let's stick and see what we've got, because on paper we still have a great defense. On paper, so James Julio Jones would be a decent 3. However, Julio Jones has not been healthy. So, and plus his age, I believe he's 34 now. So, nah, no thanks. No thanks. What's up, Sean? We could. I don't mind that. We gonna have, and listen, they're gonna have a lot more signees by the time camp starts. That's a good segue, by the way, because now we can talk about the OTAs. You're gonna have people coming through all the time. Everybody's going gaga over all of these OTAs right now, and it's like, pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. It's just OTAs. It's just practice. You know what I mean? People go crazy. I'm watching the podcast, and everybody and their mama is talking about their quarterback is dropping dimes. Everybody's dropping dimes. And this is not just Philadelphia. This is everywhere. Everybody's dropping dimes. And it's like, stop. OTAs, organized team activities. They are running practice. That's all they're doing. They are running practice. So the only thing they're doing is getting this. This is a time for the young fellas to come in and get acclimated to what happens on their team in their camps. Understand the verbiage of your offense or your defense. Get to know your coaches, the teammates. Get used to what's going to happen when you report back for camp, for the real camp. So OTAs, everybody gets excited for it, but I think that's more because we got so many people that are starved for football. So they kind of go overboard with the reports and all of that kind of stuff. I saw the thing today. Apparently, Jalen Carter broke the blocking sled. So everybody went nuts. Oh my God, he's a beast. He broke the blocking sled. And you know what? I will bring up the immortal words of one Bruce Lee. Boards don't hit back. So that's great why he can do that. But I need him to do that while he's going up against an all-pro defensive guard, tackle, or center. I don't really care what he does against the blocking sled. So makes good for good reports and good optics in camp and stuff like that, and something juicy to talk about. But at the end of the day, that stuff don't matter. That stuff don't matter. The only things that you can really get a sense of just going on camp, number one, you can get a true sense of how fast people are, really. Because let me be honest with you, in camp last year, when the Eagles played, was the first preseason game, we played the Dolphins, I believe it was. But in camp, they had that televised practice. All right, people like a sled. They had that televised practice, and who went first? It was the Cheetah and Slay. And the Cheetah ended up catching the ball, but if you remember, their feet got caught up. Slay fell. He got hobbled a little bit, but he came back no problems. What I saw was, I did not realize Slay was that fast. Now, you can say what you want to say. Slay was step for step with Tyreek Hill. Go back and watch it. Until they fell, he had good position on him. He was running. And he could have made a play for the ball if they hadn't got their feet tied up. Great play by the cheetah in making the catch, but it is my opinion, Slay was in position and he was running well with Tyreek Hill. Did not know he was that fast. He did run I went back and tried to find him his combine. He did run a 4.340. He was in the 4.3s. So that is great speed. You got good, great, and then elite. So Tyreek Hill is elite speed, but Slay is great speed. And I was very surprised. You can find things like that out at OTAs. You got a rookie like, oh, I didn't know he was that fast. I didn't know he could jump that high. You kind of get a sense of people's physicality, the mindset. Young fellas gotta figure out where they stand, because this is a big deal for the rookies, the second year players, guys coming from other teams, but especially the young fellas, because most people don't really understand what it's like for free agents, undrafted free agents, guys, young guys from other teams and stuff like that. When you first report to a team and you trying to figure out where you fit, and you got a lot of people and not a lot of time. OTAs, you get 10 days to get, I believe, 6 practices. What is this? Checking out my notes again. Hold on. Yep. You get 10 days to get 6 practices. And the practices can't be longer than 2 hours or something like that. They got different rules that were collectively bargained, so they got to stick with those rules until they get to camp. And not to mention, you're not hitting. But that's where things can get a little chippy. Things can get contested, because as a rookie, especially as a undrafted free agent, you get a little bit of time to leave your mark. At the end of the day, everybody in that camp, everybody in that OTA is trying to do the same thing. You're trying to make some type of play so somebody will remember you. Somebody in the media will see you. The coaches will see you. They'll run it back in film session. You trying to make at least one play where somebody will notice you, because a lot of those guys in OTAs ain't coming back to camp. They're not going to get invited back. And you got all of these kids. You got to remember, when you go into camp, you might have 90 players. You got doubled up numbers and all of that kind of stuff. I remember me and a guy from North Carolina State, Mike Reed. He was a defensive back. We both wore 42. I didn't get 46 until I actually made the team. When I was in camp, I wore 42. He kept 42 because he was a draft pick. I believe he was a fourth round draft pick, defensive back. So, but you had so many players in camp, they would have to double up on the numbers. But this one particular case, we were both on kickoff coverage. So we both on the field at the same time wearing number 42. And the ref grabbed me and pulled me off the field like, Coach, come on. So they had to get somebody else in, because you can't have 2 people with the same number. They knew what the deal was, but not on the field at the same time. So stuff like that happens all of the time. But me as a undrafted free agent, that's an opportunity that I lost because I had to get off the field. And you never know when somebody's looking. Same thing in OTAs and in camp. You trying to make a play, and rest assured, you've got people. Remember, you trying to take somebody's job. You have people that will tell you to do the wrong thing, tell you to go the wrong way, try to sabotage your opportunities. That's real. Everybody is not your friend. I got a video coming out to talk about what free agents should do going into camp, because it's different. It is vastly different for an undrafted free agent than it is for a draft pick. So many things to think about. So many things to think about. Who you hang out with, what your roommate is like, all of that kind of stuff. You can't, the leash on somebody that's a high draft pick is a lot longer than you. They can get you replaced in a hot second. That draft pick is under contract. So, no, you can't go hang out with the vets and some of those first rounders, because if they are late to the meeting, yes, they will get fined $5,000. But guess what? They got a $500,000 signing bonus. They can afford that. And they are a draft pick. They are not getting cut. You, as a free agent, you place your life on the line the minute you come to a meeting late. They are always watching you. Always. So you can't come to these meetings late. You got to watch who you hang out with. No, because you're going to have some people and different personalities on every team. Everybody wants to go to the club, want to go to the city, and all of that kind of stuff, because everybody know you in town. And it's like, no, I'm not going there, because I know this group of people, they don't like to come back to camp until 5 o'clock in the morning, because there are some people that will go out, party, hit the strip club, do that whole gamut of stuff, get back to campus at 6 in the morning and got to be on the field at 8 for practice. So they get back at 6 o'clock, go straight to the mess hall, get something to eat, and then they go to practice. Ain't had no sleep yet. People do that stuff. People leave. I don't know if it's as much, if it happens as much now as it did back in the day, but a lot of times you'll wake up and you're like, yo, where's old boy? And people you've been talking to and become friends with are gone. Sometimes they get cut. You get a knock on the door by the Grim Reaper at 6 o'clock in the morning. And sometimes people go home willingly. Sometimes people get homesick. Mama's boy, daddy's boy, you miss your girlfriend. There are people that make their dream and walk away because they homesick. They want to go home. Can't handle it on their own. Happens all the time. So it's a lot of stuff to think about in these OTAs. A lot of stuff gets overhyped. But at the end of the day, you get a lot of young people vying for an opportunity to make a play. That's why you have so many fights. Egos get in the way. Nobody wants to look bad. They don't like it when you make somebody look bad, because you got to remember, in another hour or so, you're going to go back in and you're going to watch it on tape, and they're going to rerun it over and over again. If you make the play, you want them to run it over. So you want them to keep running it back. So everybody can tap you on the shoulder like, yo, good play, good play, good play. Whoever you beasted on, they don't want to see that. They don't want to get embarrassed for 15 minutes. And I mean 15 minutes. You can go on one play and they can run one play and run it back for 15 minutes or longer. I've seen it happen. I've been in meetings where it happens. The big eye in the sky don't lie. That's why they watch so much film. And I would encourage anybody, a lot of these media heads, if you're going to watch somebody on TV, find somebody on TV that watches tape, not highlights. Greg Cosell, Brian Baldinger, Barrett Brooks, Seth Joyner. Find somebody that watched tape. Me. All these guys, highlights. Or they want to tell you, even if you watch, if you ever had a chance to watch an all 22 versus the broadcast, totally different. Totally different. You can't really see much on the broadcast because the camera angles always change. So I'm saying all that to say OTAs is they blow a lot of it up, but I think it's more because of the fans are just starved for football. And on top of that, we are the premier team. We're the 1A team in the league right now. You got the Kansas City Chiefs because they're the Super Bowl champions, and then us because of Jalen Hurts. Because let's be real, Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes. Our defense failed us. So we're getting the looks. Nobody can say we got an easy schedule no more. Nobody's buying that. We're not going to be as good as we were last year as far as the record is concerned. But we're going to be bringing the funk. Rest assured. Rest assured. Hey, Sean, if you're on time, you're late. That's the way we used to say it. If you're on time, you're late. You want to get to the meeting about 10 minutes early, 10 to 15 minutes early, if you can. Bring you some snacks to the meeting because those meetings run long. Get you some beef jerky, get you some candy bars, something that you can snack on, something with coffee. I wish I would have drank coffee back when I was playing ball. That would have helped me out tremendously. Tremendously. Because you go some of those meetings, man, it was rough. Because you got to remember, I was a free agent rookie. I had to go. So it was like you sitting in the back of the room and you try not to fall asleep because you've been going over the same play. And then I'm a running back. So then you go to the running back's room and then you go into the then we have a meeting with the running backs and the offensive line. And oh my God, if you got to go in the meeting room with the offensive lineman, and they're telling, we would get out of meetings sometimes at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. We would get there at 7 and we would be done at like 10:30. Because when you go into the meeting rooms with the offensive linemen, they got to run back every play at every position. So if you figure at every position, they're going to run it back at least 6 to 7 times. Now, mind you, they don't just run it back. They got to run it back, stop, talk about it, see what happened. So one position could take like 5 to 10 minutes. Then they got to go over the center, left guard, left tackle, right tackle, tight end. Every play. So you can understand how those meetings can go long. That's crazy. So, like I said, OTAs, they mean something for it's internal. The fan base is not really going to get anything from OTAs. That's why they're talking about Jalen Carter breaking the sled or Nolan Smith. They keep playing the clip talking about, yo, Howie, send me the playbook. I want to get into, like, all of that stuff is good. It all looks good until you get punched in the mouth. It all looks good until you come up against somebody that's not on your team. That's when it matters. So you don't worry about all of this stuff. You just make it to camp, get through the camp so we can see what's what. That's about where it comes down to, man. So listen, I'm going to get up out of here. I appreciate you guys. As usual, you can check me out on my YouTube channel, Pro Fan Talk. Check it out. Give me a subscribe. And I'm here on the mothership every Thursday at 7 p.m. We doing things, man. We doing things. So I appreciate you. Check me out next week. Don, I appreciate you, brother. I'll be back next week, 7 o'clock. Working on getting a guest. Don't know yet, but I will keep you posted. All right? Thanks for joining me. You guys have a great night. Enjoy the rest of these NBA finals. And I will see y'all next week. Peace.